Hello, everyone, and welcome to 100% You, a podcast which is all about discovering who you're truly meant to be and becoming the best version of yourself. I'm your host, Barry Burrell, and I've been on the self-development journey for 14 years and spiritual journey for around 10 to 12 years. And I'm very excited to start with you this episode. It's going to be all about setting the right goals and mindset for 2026 to make sure it will be one of the best years you ever had so far. So I'll try to make this episode as short and simple as possible so you can actually act on it and have the best year of your life. I will share with you my experience, what worked, what doesn't work, and simple tools that can actually help you start doing it right now. So since I remember myself, I always was the kind of person who's setting goals, dreaming all day long, writing once in a while new goals, and trying to take different actions to create the goals and achieve them in my life. I would say, though, that in my teenage years and also at the beginning of my 20s, I was very frustrated about the way I used to write goals because no matter what I used to write, yes, I have many goals that I achieved and I wrote them down when I was in my teenage years. However, I could not understand why the goals that I wanted did not achieved. And I feel that many people has this type of problems with the goal setting stuff because once you do it for many years or you try it at least and then you don't see the results that you wanted, you can start to be very frustrating from the entire process of setting the goals, making sure you have the right mindset, setting the smaller goals, doing all the challenges. And after, a few weeks of the new year, you feel that you're lost and you didn't take the direction you actually wanted. Many times also I feel that setting the goals for the new year, at least for me, it felt like such a big project that I need to take. And since it was such a big project in my head, many times I feel that I did not complete the project, the huge project that I planned to do. And I ended up with half reading goals or half vision board or half something. And for many years, I felt like till around February or the end of February, I felt like I tried to keep up with the setting the goals, doing the reflection, doing everything, and I could not finish and do the entire process. And then I felt like a failure at the beginning of the year, but still I had the motivation. I many times did challenges to make sure I'm on top of the things. Let's say I wanted to be fit, so I had the workout routine that I had for a few months. And but for many years, I felt like this entire thing of goal setting and start fresh for the new year was a huge process that I just did not master it. And I felt like there's something missing for me because I do believe in setting goals. I do believe in all of that kind of stuff. But for years, it took me to understand what I was doing wrong. And one of the things that I did wrong, and I think many people do, is setting so many goals and just list bunch of goals. And there are the stories that people say, yeah, I wrote bunch of goals, then at the end of the year I wrote them. I looked at the goals and I actually saw that I managed to have all of them. That can happen. And actually, if you write down your goals, there's a chance of 42% that you will achieve them more than if you will not set the goals. And this is by research done in 2015. And this is related to setting the goals and also to vision boards. So I knew it's something very important. Many times I did feel like I accomplished half of the goals, but still I didn't feel like I managed to do it properly. So last year, I took it as a project that I want to learn how to master this thing of setting the right goals, doing all the stuff. I never did vision boards until a year ago, 2 years ago, a year ago. Yeah, that was the first time I actually made a vision board. And around my birthday this year in July, I actually made the first vision board that was actually actionable. So it also taught me a lot. And since then, I felt like I already checked a few boxes from the vision board, which is insane. And I know more stuff is going to come later on this year. So I very believed in the setting goals and vision boards and seeing everything, but I could never master it. So I took it as a project, as I said. And this year, I feel like I just realized what was wrong the entire years. Because if I looked back, the years that I did achieve the goals that I wanted, usually it was when I had 1 to 2 big goals that I just knew that I wanted to learn throughout the year. And it kind of led me, every year I have this thing that I have the subject of the year. Let's say one year the subject was learn my intuition, how to listen to my intuition. Another year was communication and know how to say the difficult stuff. Another year I had the subject was meditation. Every year I had like this topic domain that I want to improve in that year. And this year, and also last year, but I would mainly say this year, since July, my birthday, I changed completely the way I set goals, and I already see the difference, a huge difference from the way I used to do it and from what I've done so far. So I'll be brutally honest, like I haven't achieved everything yet that I wrote, but I see the progress, and it's completely different to different years and the way I used to write goals. And it's been already 6 months since then. And I actually see the progress, and I actually see how this goals is kind of my compass. What we're going to do today is go through simple steps and what I would recommend doing, things that I keep from all the years that I used to do the goal setting and things that I don't want, and how can you do it as simple as possible, because we're all about simplicity. So the first thing I usually do around the end of the year, around December, I also do it before my birthday. And this is something I feel like everyone should do. Find your own way how to do it, is reflection. I feel that if you don't do reflection before you start setting the goals, it's kind of like you just throw the entire year to the trash and you don't really look back and see what worked, what didn't work. So throughout the years, I found different ways on how to do reflection. One of the things that helped me the most is go through my photo albums in my phone and look for just what I did each month and kind of like write down in bullet points what I did this year. And I love it so much because I've been doing it since 2016. And for almost every year, I have the bullet points of major things that I achieved, that I did, experience that I had, things that I learned. And it's so fun to watch it back and just see how much of progress I did. Plus, it also kind of give you, the realization of what year was it and what do I want for next year. So you can do it by going through each month and kind of see what you did and kind of just write in bullet points for each month what you did. And also you can do it very intuitive. Just take a paper or open a file on your computer and start writing 2025 was, and just start writing. You don't have to go crazy on this one. Just do however you feel like. You can do it short, you can do it long, but I feel that wrap up the entire year will give you an entire new perception of what you had. Also will build your confidence. It will show you what you achieved, even though maybe you felt like you had the worst year ever. Maybe you did had some really good stuff. So it's kind of give you the ability to look at things different. If you don't want to do it with bullet points or just intuitive, you can also do it by taking different categories in your life. You can write down just the name of the category. Let's say career, finance, health, relationship, love, family, things, physical things that I achieved. Also a good thing can be personal growth, personal development, travel, adventures. Like find your categories that feel aligned with you and just write down under those categories what wasn't that year. Just like a little summary on which one of them, what the progress was, what you feel you accomplished, and all of that. After you kind of went through the entire year, and also like you don't have to write everything down, do whatever feels right to you, because we are all different. There's some people who like journaling, there's some people who don't like it. So do whatever feels right to you. If you just want to go through, I don't know, maybe your even calendar and see what you had this year. Maybe you write journals the entire year and you want to go through the journals. That might take a long time, so you might do it for like the entire weekend or something. But find the way that works for you. I would say that the simplest way to do it is just take the gallery you have in your phone, look all of your pictures you have and kind of like see what you had throughout the year. Also, it reminds you what you had and bringing you back to a special moment. So that's what I usually do. After that, I'll start journaling about the year that I had. And I have a few questions that I ask myself. And I started asking myself those questions this year. And I swear it just makes so much sense to do it this way. And it helps you to set the right goals for the next year. So I would start with, in which areas in my life I did not achieve the things that I wanted. Because many times, you write the goals each year and maybe I want to, lose 10 kilos. I want to learn this language. I want to this to that, and write down in which areas in your life, or like I want to be in a relationship and maybe you haven't been in a relationship. So write down in which areas in your life or what type of goals you had and you didn't achieve, and be very specific with that. Once you do it, be brutally honest about it and say, why didn't I achieve those goals? And it can be anything. It can be I didn't took the actions. I just never actually sat down and plan how I'm going to do it. It can be I didn't have the time to do it. Maybe it can be I didn't have the finance to do it. Find out why you didn't do it. Maybe you were afraid to start doing and taking this leap. Maybe you wanted to start a business, but something stopped you. Be brutally honest about why you didn't do it. The third question you should ask is, what do you want to live in 2025? It can be people that don't serve you anymore. It can be places. It can be old habits that you don't want to take. Anything that comes to your mind. And that leads us to our next question. What goals did you achieve this year? Also, very important to write what did you achieve this year and be proud of yourself and boost this confidence that you have. Another question I would ask is, what things would you like to keep for next year? Because eventually, you had the good stuff, you had the bad stuff. So what things would you like to take from 2025 to 2026? And I'm sure you have some. And what things are you proud of? So those were the 6 questions. I would repeat them again. So we have, in which areas in your life you didn't achieve the things that you wanted? The second question is why you didn't achieve them, and be brutally honest about it and analyze it. Because only once you analyze it and understand why it didn't work, it will be easier to plan it for next year. And also I would touch on this and say that look at goals that you did achieve and try to see what was the difference between the goals that you did achieve and you didn't achieve. The third question is, what would you like to leave in 2025? The next question is what goals did you achieve this year? Question 5, what things would you like to keep for next year? And the last question is, what things are you proud of? Now, regarding the reflection, again, you can do it your way, whatever works for you. I think this type of 6 question would be a must to answer. You don't have to write it down. I think it will be the best way, but whatever works for you. If it works for you better just to write down the questions and then think about them, so do that. If you don't like the reflection, then go back and see what was the entire year and journal about it. So find the way that works for you. But I think that when you stop and just look back at the year you had, no matter if you're going to journal about it or not, it will be so much easier to start to plan for the next year. And also it gives it a meaning. It gives each year a meaning, and you see the process that you went through, and it kind of gives you a closure and awareness of the things that you need to change and that you want to keep and leave for the next year. And if you never journaled or you don't know how to do it, I will just give you a quick tips on how to do it. So I usually just write down whatever I feel intuitive, but this is because I do it for years. If you never journaled, so I would say focus on just documenting your life. You can document achievements, you can document great memories, you can document people that you met, insights, places you visit, maybe transformations you had, maybe actions you took. Everything related to those areas would be much easier to kind of write down and go from there. After you finish reflecting the year you had, it will be easier to start fresh and start plan for 2026. I would say that the best way that I found to do is take 1 to 3 big goals for the entire year. It can be more than 1, 2, 3 goals. It can be also 5, 6 goals. But I realized that having 1 to 3 big goals would be much more practical and easier to actually transform your entire year. When you start planning 2026, ask yourself this very important question. What are the 1 to 3 things that if you don't accomplish them by December 2026, you'll feel deeply disappointed by yourself? And I'm sure you have at least one thing. Going with the negative side of feeling disappointed from yourself will be kind of easier to set the goals for next year. Maybe you already know what goals you want to set for next year, and that's amazing. But if you don't know, that question can actually benefit you, because now you reflected the year you had. You can see the achievements, the things you disappointed from yourself. It will be easier to understand what you truly want and desire for 2026. So let's say you said that you want to start the business that you already dreamed of. This is like a main goal of yours for 2026. And let's say you had this goal for 2 years and you never started to do the business. So I would take this goal and try to write, what does it mean for you to have this business? What is the type of version of you having this business. Give a meaning to this entire goal. How does it feel? How does it look like? What's the meaning of having it? Because maybe having a business for you and me looks completely different. Maybe for you, a business is, I don't know, selling orange juice on the street. And for me, business looks having a huge company. Ask yourself, what would be the thing that you know that once you get to 2026 and you did not accomplish, you will feel disappointed from yourself? What is the meaning of opening a business on 2026 means for you? What do you define a business for you? So let's say you have 1 to 3 big goals that you know that if you'll get to the end of the year and you will not accomplish them, you will be very disappointed for yourself. Of course, you can have more goals, and I also have more goals, and I would encourage you also to have more goals. But the other goals, I would say, would be like the goals that you really want to achieve, but you know that if you will not accomplish them by the end of the year, you'll be fine. So in total, you will have around like 7 to 10 goals max, but you will have the compass of the 1 to 3 goals that for you is going to change everything if you're going to achieve them this year. And make sure, this is something very important that I learned in the past years, and especially this year, and it helped me a lot with the goal setting. Make sure that they are complementing to each other, because if they're not, it will be much harder to achieve those goals. Because eventually, in order to achieve those big goals, you need to take actions. You need to build a plan to build them. It's not like, that's it, I set a goal and, that's it. Like, you need to set also smaller goals inside the big goals so you can achieve and see that you're making progress each week, each month, each quarter. And once you see that all the goals you wrote, they complement each other, it will be much easier to turn those goals from I want to achieve it to I'm actually achieving it. So again, have this 1 to 3 big goals that you know that you must accomplish this year. And you know that those goals will be the compass for the entire year. And then have the still big goals, but smaller goals that you know that complement the biggest goals. So let's say you want to be in a relationship this year. Okay, this is one of your biggest goals. So if we'll take it more in actionable steps, I would say write to yourself, what does it mean to be in a relationship? What would be the version of me that will be in a relationship, and what kind of relationship I want? Then the sub goals might be, okay, so before I'm entering to a relationship, I need maybe to release all the fears or blocks I have around love. Let's say go on dates. Maybe another sub goal would be, you know that for you to be in your ideal relationship, you want to feel your best. So maybe it means that you need to work out more or sleep well or whatever. So you know that this is part of the version of you of having a relationship. So you write something that may be related to wellness and health. And then it also kind of complement the goal you wrote on health and wellness, that you want to get fit. So you know that it's kind of complement each other, and it will make much more sense for you to pursue this goal, because you know that if you will achieve this wellness and health status that you wanted, it also will help you to become the version of you having the relationship. So that's a good example of complementary goals. And you know that in order to do this, you need to, work out, let's say 3 times a week. You need to eat healthier. And to eat healthier, that means maybe you need to go to buy your groceries in a different supermarket. Maybe you need to eat less outside. So you have this big goal of, let's say, being in a relationship, and this huge goal has sub goals that you want to achieve that are usually would complement with the different goals that you wrote. Then you maybe say that in order to be in a relationship, you know that one of your problems maybe when you enter to a relationship that you're not honest, or you're not vulnerable, you're not communicative. So maybe one of the sub goals would be to be more communicative, maybe to be more vulnerable, maybe to be more open to date different types of people. And this is kind of would be your compass. You know how to act. So this is more, I would say, something that you cannot like say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to be more vulnerable, tomorrow I'm going to do this. But this is a good example of sub goals on what does it mean to be in a relationship for you, and what do you need to do in order to be there, the things that are in your control. And you need to always remember that the type of sub goals you write, or the goals, it's things that would be under your control, because there are things, eventually, of course, you can manifest whatever you want. I really believe in it, and you can make things much quicker happen and appear in your life. But eventually you need to remember that when you're writing the goals, you need to take full responsibility on the things that you can do. And once you do all the things you believe you should do. Usually I believe that the universe likes to kind of treat you well because you did your part, and now this is like the universe part to take the lead and do whatever needs to happen. So this was like a sub goals for relationship. Let's say you want to start a business. So what does it mean to start a business for you? And I will say for a second, there is the method of setting SMART goals, which is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. And I do think it's a very good method to use. However, sometimes even when we use those type of methods, we don't achieve the goals that we want. And usually if we don't achieve them is because there's fears that's stopping us from doing it, or there's something much bigger that we need to unlock before we actually achieve those goals. Because let's say your big goal for a few years now was to build a business, okay? And you could not start the business, or you tried and you fail. And maybe you set all the right measurements. You had the SMART method, you had the specific, you had the measurable, you had the attainable. Like, you can start with this, you can start with that. You knew it's practical, but you still could not achieve the goal. So I would go back and start with, what does it mean for me? So owning a business, what does it mean for you? Owning a business, let's say, would mean that you are very responsible, you take control of your money, you know how to handle finance right, maybe you're a leader, maybe people respect you. Like, think about what does it mean for you to be a business owner. Maybe you have a lot of responsibility and you know how to handle this type of responsibility. Then after you wrote what does it mean for you, look if there's any fears certain those areas. Let's say you want to be in a relationship. Let's say your big goal is to be a business owner. Try to think or write down what fears you have around those areas. Because if you wrote down to be a business owner for a few years and you did not achieve it, even though you know what does it mean for you, maybe you have fears that stop you from actually taking the actions and do it. So write and be very specific with your fears. We talked about it in the previous episode with patterns. And if you feel you have those type of fears, I would go back and hear this episode number 4. So see what type of fears you have around the big goals you have and see what stops you from actually achieving them. Because once you unlock the pattern and you unlock the blocks that you have, it will be much easier to know what do you want to have. And I would say that the sub goals should be something more practical that you can do. Take actions. It can be a habit that you need to implement. It can be a project that you know that you need to work for the first quarter of the year. It can be a thing that you need to accomplish. It should be more practical, and the sub goals will be the compass for you to achieve the biggest goals. Eventually you have the milestones to get you the bigger stuff. So make sure you write down everything and make it just a huge list at the beginning. Then you can just, look up and understand what is relevant and what it's not. But write everything that you think is relevant to achieve this big goal. And also to actually make it happen in the year, a good thing to do is to prioritize what would happen first, what would happen next, how you can implement it from now. Eventually, in order to get to the big goals you wrote down for this year, you need to make changes in your life. You need to have different habits. You need to be a different person to achieve it, because you're going to a new direction now. And the big goals you have is kind of the new compass you have for your life. I'll tell you about myself that in my birthday this year, in around September, I refined my goals completely. And the 2 main goals I have for this year is be in a relationship and financial stability. Then I have another big goal, but I know that if I'll get to the end of the year, I'll be fine not having it. I'll be disappointed for myself, but it's not as important as the first 2 goals. So the third goal is to make sure I leverage everything that I have in university, since I'm third-year student, and I want to make sure that I'm taking everything that I can and feel that at the end of the year, I accomplished everything that I wanted. I took all the courses that I wanted, all the clubs that I wanted, and I act upon it. My year since the beginning of the semester looks completely different since I have this goal. But at the same time, I have the compass of the first 2 goals. So since I have the financial stability goal first, I know that if I need to work now and I have something important, but I have something in the evening in university, I'll ask myself, is it something that I would benefit from, or the work that I need to do now is better? And most of the time, the financial stability huge goal would be the compass that I'm going for. So I had these 3 goals, and I had more 7 goals that kind of complement all of these 3 goals. So one of the goals of mine for 2026 is to improve my language abilities. So I'm half Russian. I don't speak a lot of Russian. I know Russian fluently. So I started speaking to my friends in university that speak Russian in Russian just to practice more. More than that, I finally registered to learn Spanish. This is something that I wanted to do for years. So it kind of also complement the goal of taking all the advantages I can from university. Another goal that I have for this year is being friends of one of the most influential people in Israeli startup ecosystem. This goal kind of complements the goal that I have of financial stability, because the meaning for me of financial stability means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's complement to the another goal that I have of meeting new people that are very influential in the ecosystem and etc. So all of my goals, I will not read you all of my goals, but all of my goals complement each other. And for each one of them, I know it's my compass. And I actually heard a really good episode of Emma Grede, which I really like, that she talked about making your life as a business plan. And one of the tips she gave is to write your goals in a note in your phone. I usually used to write my goals in a journal, maybe on a docs in my computer. I was always frustrating that I didn't have the goals like in front of my eyes every day. And once I started writing on my notes on my phone, I swear it is so much easier to just look at my goals every day, because I have it on my phone, I have it on my computer, and I just see them every day. And for me, it was much easier. The next thing I would do after you had sub goals and you actually realize what's the habits you need to have this year, you realize what the changes you need to have, I would write, and you can think about it. What is the ideal version of you? The version that has achieved all of these goals. Who is this version? Just think to yourself, who would it be? How she would gonna act, or he would act? What type of people would be around it? And try to see what is the feeling you're gonna have around it. And this is gonna go with the vision board stuff. So as I said, I never did vision boards until last year, and I'm telling you, this is a life changer. I'm so happy I started doing this. And I always thought that doing vision boards is really hard. And actually this summer, I made it so much easier, because I had a template that I gave my friends of making a vision board, and it made my life so much easier. And the vision board was actually pictures of all the goals that I set. So I had the 10 goals for this year. I went to Pinterest. I tried to look around and see what goals feel right, save them on my computer. And then I just kind of like I use Canva for vision boards. I think there's also an app called Vision Boards, but I'm not sure about it. So I use Canva for it. And I just put all of my pictures together. And I use also affirmations. This is also really important stuff. Eventually, in order to change your identity, you need to start from your thoughts. So I would highly recommend you to also write the affirmations of the goals you want to achieve. So let's say you want to be a business owner. So write yourself, I'd say, I'm a successful CEO, or I'm a successful business owner. Let's say you want to be in a relationship. The affirmation can be, I'm in a relationship with the love of my life. Let's say you want to earn, I don't know, $10,000 a month. So write yourself, I'm earning $10,000 a month. Have those affirmations for yourself. Or let's say with university, you can have an affirmation, I have so many opportunities coming my way. So you can find those affirmations on Pinterest. There's a bunch of different pictures with affirmation. You can also write it yourself. So I would add entire vision board with small affirmations on top of the picture. And make sure you have a copy for your lock screen, for your phone, and for your computer. You can also print it. I have it printed, so I'm looking at it every night before I go to sleep. And the thing is, with the research that I told you, once you look at your goals, it will be much easier to actually make it happen, because you rewrite your brain to think that this is the life that I'm creating right now. The brain cannot distinguish between real experience and imagined ones. So when you have this vision board, first of all, you're going to see it puts you in an entire different energy when you have it. And when you look at it every day, it's your reminder of your goals you have. And it's very strong. When I made my vision board this summer, I had a few pictures. So I had like a bunch of pictures pictures that I saved on Pinterest. And one of the pictures was actually a MacBook with GarageBand app open and a microphone exactly like this one. And I'm telling you, like, I didn't even think about creating a podcast. I was thinking about I want to be a content creator this year. So I just put this picture because something in me just felt right to put this picture. And literally like 1-2 months later, I started this podcast and I didn't even think about creating the podcast. It just felt right to put this picture. So look what pictures make you feel excited about the year, what feels right, because maybe let's say you want to travel to Europe and you found a few pictures but they don't feel right to you. So find the pictures that makes you excited, you love the energy in the picture. So I want to wrap it up, everything that we just talked about. If you want to really get ready for 2026, I would start with a few simple stuff. First of all, reflect on the year you had. Find the way to do it. You can do it by actual journaling, you can do it by just looking at what you had. You can think about, find the way that works for you. Make it as simple as possible. The second thing I would do is set 1 to 3 big goals for this year. The goals that you know that if you'll get to December 2026, you will feel so disappointed from yourself if you did not achieve them. So find those 3 goals. And other than that, set more goals if you have, of course. I would say max 10 goals for the entire year, and make sure they kind of complement the big goals, that it will make sense once you actually start to plan your year for all of the goals, and mainly for the big goals and the goals that you realize that you wanted to achieve previous years but you did not achieve. Ask yourself, what does this goals mean to me? What fears do you have around those goals, and what do you need to let go in order to have it? Write the meaning of what does this goal mean to you, and start writing sub goals to each one of the goals and see what kind of habits you can implement to your life in order to achieve this goal, and what actually steps you can take, and kind of structure it around the weeks ahead and month ahead of your year. And also prioritize the goals that maybe should happen first, and then the ones that maybe would happen at the second half of the year. See what works for you. The next thing I would do, of course, if you want to do it, I think it's amazing. Once I start doing it, I'm obsessed with vision boards. Go to Pinterest and kind of search the things that will make you feel the goals that you wrote. Save it on your computer and then start to play around. You can use Canva, you can use any app you would like, and set together all of these goals, and also use affirmations that would be the compass to your biggest goals. So if you want to be a business owner, think about affirmations that will help you to reprogram your mind and make you feel like you have it. Because eventually everything starts from your thoughts and how you feel, and your thoughts and feelings eventually create the beliefs you have. So if you're going to see affirmations every day, I'm the best CEO, I earn this much money, I'm in a relationship, it will rewire your brain and help you to achieve those goals faster. And just a few quick things before we end. I really love to celebrate small milestones. Every milestone I have, I try to celebrate. My thing is, every time I have a milestone, I take a picture of myself and like with the room or where I am, and I have like a bunch of pictures in my phone with milestones that I achieved, and this is how my brain knows like I achieved a milestone. Maybe for you it will be buy something, maybe it will be to go out with friends. Find your things to celebrate those small milestones, because once you start celebrating those small milestones, it will be so much more fun to create those kind of life. Also, having a community, a group, people to do it with. I love to do those kind of stuff with friends, setting goals, doing vision boards. I've done a few times already in the past 2 years, vision boards and goal setting nights, because I believe doing it with friends just structure everything, and you know that you have more people that kind of works to the same goals with you. Maybe you have different goals, but you have the same direction of you want to achieve something in this year. If you don't have close friends that are doing it, you can find groups and communities of people maybe that are doing it. I'm actually starting this week. Maybe you saw already, I'm doing 14 days challenge of reflection of the year you had, because I want to make it as simple as possible. And I truly believe that just setting goals without reflecting the year you had is just a waste of your time. And I believe reflecting just gives such a beautiful meaning to the year you had and help you to set better goals. So this is the challenge that I'm running right now. And on the 26th of December, I'm doing a physical event of getting ready for 2026. It's going to be 4.5 hours of reflection. Goal setting would be main of the time, and a quick vision board with the template that I have, because I think it should be super simple. And of course, if you want to elaborate and do more after, you should do. But I kind of want to make sure that this 4.5 hours would summarize everything that you need to get ready for 2026. All the details on my Instagram, Barry Burrell. So if you want to join, you're more than welcome. If you would like me to do a virtual event, so you should follow my Instagram account. I will publish there everything, and also let me know if you want to join a virtual event. And yeah, that's basically it for today's episode. I try to keep it as simple as possible because eventually I feel like this entire thing should be very, very, very simple. And just remember, that should be a fun part. It should be something that makes you excited. And I really hope that this year is going to be the most amazing year for all of you. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next week. Bye.